Hi, everybody. Super happy to see you all here today. And I'm very honored to be the closing talk of the day and happy to see you all still here and kind of energized. So hang on a little bit more and we will be ready for the evening activities. So as Elita said, my name is Lauma. I have been working in the eazyBI support for quite a while. And about a year and a half ago, I transitioned to the development team. Am I making some noises? But I'm still very passionate about the customer support and the quality of the product, and that is something that I will be talking today about. Together, now I lost it. Yep. Together with Mārtiņš, who is my partner today, and one of eazyBI's support shining stars. Summing up together, we both have about 15 years of eazyBI experience, so we kind of know this stuff, if we can say so. So what are we going to talk today about? Some stars, as you read maybe in the agenda, and that is not something that you are used to hearing from us about, because we both love MDX and talk about that a lot. But today we will talk a little bit about reaching some stars, and what we mean by that is the feedback from our customers. And we all love to get a good feedback. And what we want to talk about is how we do that in eazyBI, and what we do to get those 4-star ratings in the marketplace. So, and as we are data analysis geeks, we will also focus a little bit on what and how we do here in eazyBI team. So why do we care, and why do we think this topic is important and important enough to bring it up in our community? So that's the first question in our agenda. So the stars we mentioned, as I said, are the feedback that we get from our customers, from you, or the stars we get in our eyes when our product succeeds. And I think I will not be wrong that everybody in this room who is developing a product or providing a service also would like to see 4-star ratings for your services and apps. So today what we want to talk about is not how to kind of push it, but how to get those 4-star ratings so that the customers would truthfully provide them, and not only when you ask for it. So when you develop a product, one thing that you usually concentrate on thinking about good feedback is the product itself. So great product, great feedback, right? So of course that is right, and I don't want to underestimate the efforts we put into building a very good product. And that is something that we concentrate on a lot. But there is one more, in my mind, very important ingredient that is often left out, and that is the people. First of all, our customers are people who are using eazyBI. And they have emotions and moods, and things succeed and they don't, and then they need to contact us and contact support, and your customers contact you, where again, there are people with moods, emotions, and hopefully empathy who receive them. So this interaction is the one that I think brings the stars in your eyes whenever this interaction succeeds and is good. And that's something that we want to concentrate on today. Because the human communication is the one that leaves the aftertaste in the end. And in one conference for the customer support, I once heard that customer support is the face of your company. And I truly believe that. And in eazyBI, we are trying to be customer-oriented company with a smiley, happy, friendly face, and I hope we succeed in that. So how can you align all those must-haves, needs, nice ideas that customers have with things that you can or should do and how to prioritize all that. So instead of wild guessing, what we like to do as data analysis geeks is make data-driven decisions. And over the years, we have gone into this topic and found approach and metrics that help us to identify. Is it because you turned it on? To identify what numbers to concentrate on and what to do to reach the stars in our customers' eyes. So, Mārtiņš?
Thank you, Lauma. My name is Mārtiņš, as Lauma said. I'm one of the support team members. And most of you maybe know my name because I'm answering a lot of emails. And this part will be about what we focus on when we think about data-driven decisions and how to get the stars. You are what you measure. And as Raimond said earlier, measure is the treasure, especially in eazyBI, because it's how you set the context for the report. And focusing on the right measures is the key to reach the targets. And you must think about short-term targets and the long-term targets, and then maybe measures will be different. And there are things we measure in eazyBI and things we don't measure. For example, we never ask for a satisfaction rating after each resolved conversation email. We don't do that. Instead, we focus on good and decent answers, and we know that the good review will come afterwards. I have 7 years experience, I know what I'm talking about. When thinking about good marketplace review, we have identified 4 focus areas. First, customers. We love our customers and we want them to become independent users, so we share our knowledge and we answer their questions. So we could think about measures to measure actually response times for when customer is reaching out to us. When we think about product, we want our product to be useful, so makes sense to think about the health of our product. To gather knowledge and guide users through different use cases, we have documentation page, and that has to be up to date. So here we can talk about measures to keep the documentation page ready and useful, and explain what our product does and does not. And last but not least is our community. Thank you for being here today. We love our community, and we have created a community platform. It is another good place to learn eazyBI by sharing different use cases, and this is the place for most passionate eazyBI users. They can share their knowledge there and exchange with their use cases. Each of those 4 areas come with some measures that are important for our team. So let's look at them closer. eazyBI is easy when you do simple things, right? Of course it is. You can calculate very quickly fast reports. You can do a lot with the predefined metrics. But sometimes you need more than simple things. And then you would start wondering why it is called eazyBI. We know that feeling. That's why we have a very great support team. You can reach out to our team and we will help you, most likely. If you can't find the answer, always reach out to support first, and then let's see how this will go. Sometimes report requirements are urgent, but in most cases we believe it can wait for a couple of days, so which is why we promise to give the first answer within first 3 working days. In eazyBI, simple things are easy and complex things are possible. Sometimes it requires certain knowledge, certain skills, and certain efforts to learn new things. And let's be honest, nobody is perfect. We have great reporting app, and sometimes it's not ready to offer all the things that customer is looking for, or in some minor case, there could be a bug which we missed to test or fix. That is why eazyBI is always in active development, and every new version is better than previous one. And if you are on cloud, good news, you always have the best version of eazyBI. About people search things. You probably also know that, and some like looking videos to find for new things. Some like reading documents. Who hasn't fixed the sink in the kitchen by watching YouTube? I haven't. And when people search for eazyBI, very likely they will find our documentation page. In our business, we need to document things so new customers find easier how to start with the product, and existing customers could see some concepts like JavaScript that were showed, or how to implement, how to introduce with new fields. Those things should be documented well, and that's why we have documentation page, which should always be up to date, and we measure certain aspects of it. And of course, community. This is the great channel. People find various use cases, but the most important part is we wanted to give a platform where users can exchange with their ideas, with their questions, and this is also the platform where we contribute a lot. Our team jumps in basically in every post which is posted in community, and when answering those questions, we add as many as possible documentation page links, so the answer can guide you through the case, and also help in some future cases when somebody else in the future will search for similar questions. And also you can collect badges, you know that? Okay, so I will give you the remote.
Okay, what do we see? So how Mārtiņš told about the 4 focus areas, and now we will go into more specific stuff of how we measure it. What measures do we do in our team for each of these areas, and what tools do we use to reach the stars in our customers' eyes even when we don't ask for them. The first focus area, as Mārtiņš mentioned, and the most important one in some levels, is customers themselves. So from your point of view or the customer point of view, once you contact us, probably the most important measure is how fast do you get the reply. And that is an understandable measure. But what we think is as important is how good the answer is. And that's a little bit harder to measure. And we do truly try to give the first answer so that it would be actionable and something that you can actually use, not just like, okay, hi, we heard you, though that is an automatic reply we send so that you know that you received it, but the actual response from our team member will be something that you hopefully can already start using. And that is the reason why our SLA for first answer is 3 days. We can't, not always we can go into each of the cases in a faster time. So if it is urgent for you, of course, we encourage you to say that to us. But these are the two metrics we keep an eye on. So how fast the first response time is, and result conversation trends over time. So customers communicate with us over emails, and from your point of view, that is maybe hard to measure, but from the very beginning of eazyBI support, we have been thinking that to make customers' life easier, there is no need for another tool for you where to track your conversations or create tickets with us. So that's why we chose the email. That is something that everybody already has, and this also emphasizes the fact that we want this to be a human conversation about the tool. So we never had any specific outside system where you would need to log in and track your conversations. Though, as customers have asked, and some of you do like to track some past conversations, you can do that through the contact form. And we have implemented that. But on the other side, on the eazyBI team side, obviously having just one inbox would be too tough to manage. And to keep the conversations personal, we needed a tool, and that tool is Help Scout, where your conversations come in. This is how the conversation that you send to us looks on our side. So all the conversations come in as unassigned, and then once you start talking to a customer, once you grab a conversation, one of support team members does, it becomes your conversation, and you can keep track of your conversations apart from all the ones that are somewhere else. On the other side, we can see previous conversations and also domain conversations, so maybe some other colleagues are talking to us at the same time, as well as eazyBI product information, and this helps us to get the context of the conversation that we're having. So if something is already being discussed or has been discussed previously with a similar topics. Then what we use actively is also comments field. This is something that you do not see on your side. This is our communication within the team about the conversation that customers have sent in. And we use this actively while the conversation is not assigned yet, so to kind of give ideas of how maybe what could be done to resolve it. And so that helps us to interact between each other, not on a real time. And then we also add, as you can see here, a link to an issue if the conversation is related to an issue, but I'll talk about that a bit later. So back to the metrics that we measure and the numbers that are important. So HelpScout provides these standard customer satisfaction analysis, and we do review these monthly. As Mārtiņš mentioned, you are what you measure, or to rephrase, people tend to focus on the metrics that you say you will measure. So for this reason, we think it is important to specify metrics that benefit our customers, not create internal competition. We in eazyBI work as a team to get up all these metrics that are important for you, not to maybe bring out some internal things. So the important measures are response times, how the response time works, and first response times that you can see here, and also resolved tickets. Each conversation is different, and some require longer time to resolve, and some are faster. So we look on averages over time and to see how they change. And if we see that these numbers are falling and that the response times are not good, then we look at it and see what could be impacting these numbers. What we aim to get the best answers to our customers and to get these times up on average. And if there is something slowing us down, one of the things that we internally do is encourage cooperation. So if you saw the 4 eyes on some of the stickers, that is something that we do often, is that a couple of people get together and find replies faster, because maybe sometimes when you sit alone it takes longer time. Sometimes we realize that maybe some events have slowed us down. You are here, you get to talk to us, but there's a bunch of customers today out there who will not get some replies today. And sometimes it also includes hiring new colleagues, which we are always happy to welcome in our team. Another report that we look at in HelpScout is this one, also on a regular basis, and the one highlighted there is the saved replies. And yes, sometimes you might receive a saved reply, which is some kind of a typical reply that we have noticed that we need to send this out often. Then we save this, and HelpScout provides an option to see how often they are used. And then we look at this report and see, okay, if we are sending this out very often, then maybe it needs to actually be written in our documentation, or maybe, yeah, there is some other reason why it is so typical, and what do we need, maybe even improvements in the app itself if there is something that needs to be regularly reminded to customers. So this is what also helps our support. And another part here is tags, that the conversations in HelpScout can be tagged, meaning to add them a little label, saying that, and we use some typical tags like technical, so that our developers who are also working in support on a regular basis, then they know that maybe they need to take a look at these. There are urgent tags and quick and first contact tags that help us to organize the conversations, but I'll show you more about that also a little bit later. And lastly, there is this one big bright report on the top that we do not look at regularly, but I want to mention that Help Scout has it as well, because it's an interesting report that shows the busiest days and times of the day. And eazyBI does have standard office hours, and most of us are working during those times, but email runs around the clock, so this is when we receive most of the conversations. And then we also realize that in our team there are early birds and night owls, and there are appointments and everything, so we do allow our colleagues to organize their time based on their schedules, but looking at this report sometimes can help to be on the spot whenever we see that are the busiest times, so that we could keep those response times up as much as possible. Help Scout reports, being standard as they are, did not satisfy our data analysis geek, and Mārtiņš is one of the pilots who reminded us that we have an excellent reporting app available. So we did bring Help Scout conversations into eazyBI. And we also reviewed that data regularly. And to do that, there is not a standard integration for Help Scout, but we use their REST API to bring the data in. And what we lacked mostly actually were the trend lines. Because Help Scout does not provide that, and also better view of custom timeline. So trend lines give a good overview over extended period of time to see how the closed conversations are the conversations, like in generally growing or not. And the bottom report there has a lot of information, but that also helps us, as you know, in eazyBI, you can add these vertical lines in the report based on a specific date, for example. So what we add here is holidays, conferences where many of us are participating, to know that the team maybe is away, as well as app release dates. And then in this report, we can see how that impacts our trend lines. Though those maybe not always are actionable, but at least we know maybe if the trend is changing, that was the reason, and maybe in future we can do something differently around that time. And what you can see here also is the different colored lines, and those are the tags that I mentioned previously. We import tags as separate dimensions, and then we can put them in tuples together with the closed conversations, and then we can see the orange line is the technical conversations, and the green line are the quick conversations, for example, and the gray one is the first-time customers that have contacted us for the first time. And we can see that also over time. And in some trend lines, we look deeper to see maybe some impact. So this is the technical tag, and as you can see, that's something that we are very happy about, to see that the technical conversations or conversations that involve technical assistance are over time declining. And no doubt that is due to app maturity itself. But we also think that that is due to many customers being in cloud now, and that is where we can provide proactive support, because obviously we can support eazyBI a lot better on the cloud. Not that we are administrating that server, and we can see what's happening there. And this proactive support that we have introduced, of course, supporting the cloud has been always a part of it, but proactively also contacting customers when we see that maybe there is some import error where we can already help to resolve. We have introduced that, and that has proven to bring a lot of stars in our customers' eyes, and we have received many thankful notes for contacting the customers before they get to contact us. Also an interesting maybe trend that you can see here, that sometimes after releasing the app to the server, we get an increase in technical conversations, so that is still true that sometimes it can cause problems, of course. And another trend line that we look at is this urgent trend line and how many conversations are tagged as urgent. And as we said that we of course listen when customers write to us that it is urgent for them, but we do analyze how big the impact is of the conversation. And sometimes for us truly urgent and critical are the conversations or that point to a bigger problem, not only for one customer, but also to the whole, maybe the basis of the app and usability for all of our customers. And those are the ones that we really try to resolve as fast as possible. And this line is relatively stable, though we, of course, would like it to point down a little bit more. And now eazyBI product itself. So that's our next focus. And if something is identified as a potential development task, we register that as a new issue. And each week we look at new development tasks that have come in during the previous week and prioritize them, either to work on them now or later. And then on monthly meetings, we review the whole development process, how is it going, and what's coming up. So if you find a customer is asking for something new, then, as you might have guessed it, and as many of you, we use Atlassian Jira to register new tickets. And we classify them as features, improvements, and bugs. And during weekly meetings, then we check which are maybe critical and easy to squash bugs and should be selected for development right away, and which are new ideas and need to gather more customer impact. So back in the conversation, I showed you where we put the conversation link if a customer has identified something that is hopefully a feature, not a bug, but even a bug. And we add this link there. But most importantly, what we do is we add the customer conversation links in the Jira issue itself. And this is one of the few custom fields that we have introduced in Jira. We, by default, use mostly the standard fields. But this is a very valuable field. Firstly, the links to conversations help in one of those proactive processes that I mentioned previously. Is once the feature is done, finished and delivered, somebody from support team goes over these links and gets back to the customers to inform them that it is released. And this has also been one of the star-bringing experiences, because we have contacted customers also about years-old features that have been released, and some have even come back to eazyBI once their feature is done. So we are thankful for your patience and know that we haven't forgotten you. And yes, we also use eazyBI to bring the eazyBI backlog to eazyBI to analyze it. So we use the Kanban approach. So we have this selected for development backlog where our developers can go and grab new things. And this is a good overview of how the selected for development backlog looks for us. So what you can see here is the various issue types. So we don't want to overload ourselves with bugs, though we try to fix them as fast as possible, but we also want always to have some new features and improvements coming. Then also here we can see how many days the issue is waiting for development, and we do pay attention to this monthly. And if we see that some issues are getting stuck in this status, then we do look into why. Maybe there are some technical limitations, maybe the requirements are not clear, there is some reason why nobody is picking it up, and we try to identify that. How many open issues do we have in this status? Because we don't want to put too many things there, but also have some choice of what to work on, but keep it manageable. And most importantly, how many customer conversations do we have linked to this? So the custom field that we showed, we are also importing it, calculating with the JavaScript how many links are there. And with that, we count the votes. And here, this top right report shows how long time the issue has been in the status and how many customer conversations it has. And the longer the time, the more the conversations, the bigger the bubble expands. And we try to squash these bubbles as fast as possible. Though you can see there is one feature that, no, hopefully it's coming soon, but it's been waiting for some time for somebody to pick it up. And lastly, for the backlog health, we also use this report where we also can see the Help Scout links. And as Ilse already mentioned in the morning, the Help Scout votes are very important for us. So we prioritize our backlog mostly based on these links that the customers are providing. So during the weekly review, we usually move to selected for development only bugs, or maybe, no, very rarely it is a new feature that somebody has registered. Features usually take a longer time to gather the impact and need from the customers. So we put if a conversation comes in and we see that it is related to some feature or improvement that we know that is in the backlog somewhere, our customer support people find it, put the links there, and then these links we can count. And then once we see that selected for development feature count is dropping, or maybe we are planning a new release, we do come to this report and we look at what is the most voted features and what that are going to be next for selected for development. And there you go.
I have moderator that I need to be quicker than expected, so I will try to be effective here. The third focus area is our documentation, and we have identified two processes how to keep the documentation page up and running and always up to date. First, we weekly meet to see each new changes spotted by our team, and then we have a quarterly meeting where we analyze some reports from the complaints, from the documentation. So our documentation, what you see, is actually a set of Confluence pages, and we run the app called Scroll Viewports to put these Confluence pages as nicely as they are. It has a lot of examples, functions, training academy, and we always want it to be up to date. So first, about the weekly process. This is another Jira project we use. When somebody notices a change for the documentation page, they register a new task. And once a week, the few members of our team meet and then discuss if this should be prioritized, moved up, or maybe we can do these changes on the spot. And then basically on the go, we can update the documentation pages. If we can't do it right away, we set the deadline, we assign the people, and then we expect that people will take items from this list, from the top, and work on the documentation page content. When the task is done, it obviously disappears from this list. And so this is how we work with documentation on a weekly basis. Yeah, if you didn't know, but you should know, because it already was mentioned earlier, you can use eazyBI for Confluence to analyze Confluence. And that's what also we do to create these nice reports. And this is about quarterly process. With the help of this app, we analyze the information from our Confluence pages, from the documentation, and we can create new reports. This is the most popular report about our documentation. It lists all the documentation pages. The list is sorted by page updated date. The oldest date is on top. And it also has a nice measure, page views, with a heat map feature. So the darker the color, the more popular the pages. So we go through these pages to see if some page should be updated. If we update, we just change the date, so it disappears from this report next time we run it. So this is a really useful report for us, so we can always know which pages we should focus on. The other report we run in the same meeting is by search terms. On the left, we can see the report with search terms that were used, and they got results. for example, the first word on the left is test. We try to guess what users were trying to actually find when searching by this word. It's impossible to kind of read minds and think what was the test word, why it was searched. But some other functions like sum, count would make more sense. We would understand, and then we can think if they are well documented. If not, we can do some changes and make these documentation pages more useful. On the right, there is a report with search terms that were not having results. And then we can think about some trendy words that maybe we haven't documented yet. I marked the dateDiff, which is similar to dateDiff days function that we have, but dateDiff we don't have. So we need to make a decision if we need to do some changes or not, because we have dateDiff days already. So these are the two typical processes, how we use, how we work with the documentation. We have this weekly process, and then we run these quarterly reports. And about the community, we have the community platform for you, so you can exchange your ideas and use cases. And we believe there is a strong connection between healthy community and good product reviews. The follow-up is quite simple. Whenever new post is created on a community, we receive an email. And then we can start counting those emails to see if the trend is going to the right direction. So this is a platform, how it looks from eazyBI support team. It is run on a discourse server. And there is no promised SLA. We try to answer these posts or comment them once a week, but we haven't promised any SLA, so this is not a fast conversation if you want to reach out to us with a use case. So this is more like a library of different use cases that you can use and contribute to other questions. This is how it looks like when we receive it in a help scout, which Lauma mentioned. There is a sender, we can put some comments, and we can open the link directly from there. I won't go into details because we have lack of time, but we are happy to see when people are helping each other, when we don't need to be involved. But if nobody has answered yet, we will definitely jump in and help with our knowledge, because we love to contribute, we love to guide users through various use cases and helping with eazyBI use cases. So we don't want to leave a community member without any answer. That's why we help them. And with the help of eazyBI, we import the data from community and create reports. This is the typical report we look at on monthly meetings, where we see the trend, how often new posts are created. This is with eazyBI, and you can see the trend line. It's going the right direction, though, so we are happy about that. And community platform actually can be analyzed by their own inbuilt reports. We don't use them that often, but occasionally we look at the signups, user engagement, and try to see more about active users from using those tools. And another report we run sometimes is to see which are the most popular topics with more links. And maybe this is the way, if this becomes popular, we could think about updating documentation page and explaining better. For example, the first one is how to import issue links. So we can think about if our documentation page already has everything that we need to put there, so users can understand how to import links. And if everything is good, we get our 4-star reviews, and then we are happy. And so far we are doing great. We have a lot of good reviews. We can be happy. Thank you for attention. This was the last presentation for today. If you have questions, you can ask them now, or we don't have time, then maybe later in the evening. So yeah, this is the maybe practical information already on the slide.